Welcome, learners. So you've done it. You've hit that C1 level in English, which honestly is a massive accomplishment.
Yeah.
Seriously, well done. You've climbed a huge mountain, built this really impressive base. But then sometimes it feels like there's this sort of invisible wall, doesn't it? That feeling of being, very good, but maybe still a way off, sounding truly exceptional, like effortlessly native. It's such a common plateau.
Oh, absolutely. It's that exact point in the language journey where, the basics are solid, rock solid even, but those subtle kind of elusive nuances, the things that really separate proficient from masterful, they suddenly feel just out of reach.
Right.
So today our mission really is to give you the specific strategies, the actual tools to scale that wall, to help you turn that already impressive C1 into something, mind-blowingly good.
That's the goal. And look, we're not here to go over basic grammar again or, simple phrases. This deep dive is specifically for you, the advanced learner, someone who's ready to really dissect the finer points of English, to refine your skills. We're digging into a great resource called C1 Level Tips to help improve your English level, plus some other expert insights to help you make that jump. You're ready for this breakthrough, and we're here to help you make it happen.
Let's do it.
Okay, so as we start this climb, let's talk about something that, it really underpins everything else in language. Listening. It often gets a bit overlooked, maybe. But it's the main input, the fuel for everything else. What's often misunderstood about listening, especially here at this advanced stage?
That's a really good question. Because, most learners know the LSRW listening, speaking, reading, writing sequence isn't just random. But a key insight, I think, for C1 learners is realizing your brain needs training, not just for understanding, but for anticipation.
Anticipation.
Like at native speed, you're not actively consciously processing every single word. Your brain is predicting, it's inferring, it's getting the gist. That's the real leap from basic comprehension to, true effortless fluency.
Right.
We often talk about hearing versus listening. Hearing is passive, physical sound waves hit your ear. But listening, active listening, that needs focus, concentration, and crucially, attaching meaning. Think about kids. They listen first, then speak, then read, then write. It's the foundation.
That hearing versus active anticipation thing, that really clicks. But I guess shifting into that anticipatory mode isn't always easy, is it?
Yeah.
What are some of the hurdles that stop even advanced learners from listening really effectively? I know for me, sometimes accents just throw me off completely.
Oh, you're definitely not alone there. Lots of things can get in the way. I mean, besides actual hearing issues, you've got basic physical distractions. Your phone goes off, someone walks in.
Sure.
Then there are attitudinal barriers. Maybe you're stressed or worried about how you'll respond, or even sometimes a little bit egocentric. You think you know what's coming next. And your point about accents hits on cultural barriers. Even within English, think about the huge differences between, say, a Scottish accent, a Texas accent, and an Indian English accent. Your ear needs to adapt.
Yeah, definitely.
And interestingly, some studies suggest gender barriers too. Women might listen more for emotion, men more for facts. But the main point is, effective listening isn't something you're born with. It's a skill. You have to develop it, practice it, train it.
Okay. So once we're really tuned in, listening actively, anticipating, the next step up the mountain is mastering spontaneous conversation. You've probably nailed those textbook dialogues. Ordering coffee's easy.
Right.
But what about those real conversations? The unpredictable ones, the messy ones, where you can't just pull out a phrase you learned. I'm always trying to sound less like I'm reading from a script and more like, just me.
Exactly. And our guide really hammers this home. Practice for realistic, spontaneous conversations. It's not about memorizing lines at all. It's about developing the mental agility to think on your feet.
Okay.
So picture a job interview with a totally unexpected question, or a debate where you have to build your argument right there and then, or just, a normal chat that jumps from politics to movies to weekend plans. It's handling those twists.
I'm curious how the guide shows this. Are there examples of navigating those messy bits?
Yeah, it gives a great one. Alex and Maria discussing an ethical issue at work. And Marie's response, listen to the nuance. That's a tough call. I mean, I believe in transparency, definitely. But, in really competitive markets, some people might argue it's more strategic than deceptive. It's so nuanced.
Wow. Yeah. She's not just giving a simple yes or no. She's acknowledging the complexity.
Exactly. She sees both sides. And it's not just what she says, it's how she frames it.
Those advanced phrases must be key then.
Totally. Things like, that's a gray area, immediately signals there's no easy answer. Or, I see where you're coming from, showing empathy, even if you disagree. Or even, let's agree to disagree to avoid a dead end. Or the classic, if I were in your shoes. These aren't just filler, they add layers of, social intelligence, makes you sound less robotic, more human.
Yeah, definitely more human. These are great tools. But how do we actually get better at using them naturally? So it doesn't sound like we just look them up.
Good question. A really practical tip is to record yourself. Try responding out loud to different prompts, ethical dilemmas like the example, maybe current events, social questions, anything.
Okay.
Then, and this is the crucial part, I think, for C1 learners, listen back critically. Ask yourself, where did I pause awkwardly? Could I have been clearer? Or maybe more subtle? Did I miss a chance to use one of those nuanced phrases? There are tools like VoiceThread or SpeakPipe that can help. They give you that sort of objective feedback, helping you pinpoint exactly where you can improve your spontaneous flow.
Right. Okay. So as you get better at handling those conversations, you naturally need the right words, which brings us to the next stage. Vocabulary, not just having lots of words, but deepening it. What does that depth really mean at C1?
Well, the document puts it plainly. Learn words in context, not just in isolation. Forget those endless vocabulary lists. Honestly, they can be a trap.
Yeah, I've fallen into that trap before.
Right. The real depth comes from understanding how words actually work in the real world, how they combine. So mastering collocations, words that just sound right together. Like you say, strong coffee, not really powerful coffee. Or bitter disappointment, not sour disappointment. Then you've got idioms, those colorful phrases like kick the bucket or spill the beans. They carry cultural meaning, they don't make literal sense.
Oh, idioms. Definitely tripped me up. I remember trying to use break a leg once, but my tone was completely off, and it sounded like I was actually wishing someone harm.
That's a perfect example.
It really showed me how vital context and connotation are.
Exactly. And that brings us to connotations, the sort of emotional vibe a word has, like cheap versus inexpensive. Similar meaning, but totally different feeling.
Yeah. Huge difference.
So the hidden insight here for C1 is that vocabulary isn't just definitions. It's about meaning making. It's about cultural understanding. Knowing not just what a word means, but how it feels and how it fits into a sentence.
So, practically speaking, how do we build that kind of nuanced vocabulary?
Well, the guide suggests using thematic vocabulary clusters. So instead of learning random words, you group them. Create these sort of mental maps around a central theme.
Okay.
Like, say, for business and innovation, you'd learn terms like disruptive innovation. Think Uber changing transport. Or scalable model, like an app that can handle millions of users smoothly. Then market saturation, profit margin, competitive edge. You see the word in its natural environment.
Right, in its habitat.
Exactly. It makes it much stickier, much easier to remember and then use confidently and correctly.
Okay, so you've got the right words, you get the subtle meanings.
Yeah.
How do you make them, flow?
Yeah.
How do we achieve that effortless fluency, that sort of gliding feeling in spoken English?
Fluency. Yeah, a brilliant tip for advanced learners, and this connects back to that sort of physical training idea, is shattering. Yeah. You listen to a native speaker, it could be a podcast, news, a movie clip, and you repeat what they say out loud, either at the exact same time or just a fraction of a second behind them. But the real aha moment for C1 isn't just copying the sounds, it's about feeling the muscle movements in your mouth, your throat. A lot of advanced learners know how words should sound, but they haven't physically trained their speech organs for the rhythm and flow of English. That physical connection is key.
That sounds intense.
Yeah.
But I can see how it would work. What kind of audio should we use for that? Something challenging, I guess.
Definitely challenging. For advanced learners, you want authentic, unsimplified English. Our sources suggest things like the daily podcast from the New York Times for news, maybe hardcore history if you like deep dives into the past, or Freakonomics for interesting discussions. The challenge is crucial. You need to push your listening and your speaking muscles.
Okay, and what about the finer details, the actual sounds, the music of the language? What trips people up there?
Yeah, this is where the fine-tuning happens. Big focus on connected speech, how words naturally blend together. Like, what do you want to do? Often sounds more like what do you want to do, or even what you want to do.
Right.
Then there's intonation, the rise and fall, the melody of your voice. It carries so much meaning and emotion. And sentence stress, emphasizing the important words to get your point across clearly. These are often the last things to fall into place. Plus things like weak forms, how to often becomes tray, and contractions like all or they've. Nailing these makes a huge difference.
It really is like learning the music, not just the notes. Are there any specific tools that can help with those tricky bits like intonation or connected speech?
Oh, for sure. Furvo is great for hearing different pronunciations, different accents. Youglish is fantastic. It searches YouTube and shows you videos where a word or phrase is used in context.
Yeah.
And apps like Elsa Speak give personalized feedback on your pronunciation. Plus, don't forget the advice from our sources. Watch English shows or movies with English subtitles first, then maybe try without. Or even speed the playback up slightly, like 1.25x, to train your ear for faster natural speech. It's about balancing that intense focus on short bits with just listening extensively to longer things.
Okay, so the music's coming together. Let's talk about the grammar, the structure underneath. Now, grammar, don't panic. It's not about memorizing endless rules here. It's about mastering more subtle structures that let you express really complex, nuanced ideas.
Exactly. We're way beyond simple past, present, future now. The document highlights things like mixed conditionals. If I had taken the job past condition, I would be living in New York now. Present result combines time frames.
Right.
Then there's inversion for emphasis. Instead of I have never seen, you say never have I seen. Just flips the word order for dramatic effect.
So inversion is basically flipping the word order for effect, like making it sound more formal or emphatic.
Pretty much, yeah. It adds punch. Then you have things like cleft sentences. These focus attention. Instead of John broke the vase, you might say it was John who broke the vase. See how it highlights John.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that shifts the focus.
Exactly. And nominalization. That's turning verbs or adjectives into nouns. Like instead of they decided to postpone the launch, which surprised everyone, you get the more concise and formal. The decision to postpone the launch surprised everyone. The hidden insight here is that these aren't just grammar rules. They're tools for precision, for style, for rhetorical effect.
They really do expand your toolkit. But is there a risk when you start trying to use these of sounding, I don't know, a bit unnatural or maybe overly formal if you don't quite nail it?
That's a really good point. Yes, there is a risk if you just try to force them in where they don't fit. The key is exposure and, again, mimicry. Read a lot, listen a lot. And notice how and when skilled speakers and writers use these structures naturally. Don't just insert them. Feel when they add clarity or emphasis. It's about expanding your range, not just showing off grammar tricks.
Got it. So, okay, how do we apply all this, the vocabulary, the fluency, the grammar, to actually producing strong English?
Yeah.
That takes us to strategic reading and impactful writing.
Right. For reading, the advice is diversify. Don't just read novels. Dive into academic journals, opinion pieces, biographies, maybe even some technical stuff like business reports or legal texts, depending on your needs.
Okay.
And it's not just what you read, it's how. The advanced strategy involves actively engaging. Skim first for the main idea, then scan for specific details. Definitely highlight and look up new words in their context. And this is key. Try summarizing each paragraph briefly in your own words as you go.
Ah, okay. So it's really active, not passive.
Exactly. It's a dialogue with the text. Recommended reading includes things like Sapiens by Harari, articles from The Economist, essays in The New Yorker, stuff that makes you think and uses sophisticated language.
And then for writing.
The big advice is edit ruthlessly. Seriously, don't be precious about your first draft. Be prepared to cut, rewrite, move things around. Focus on varying your sentence structure so it doesn't sound repetitive. Pay attention to your tone. Is it right for your audience? Use strong topic sentences and really work on using those sophisticated linking words consequently, nevertheless, in contrast to make your ideas flow logically. The guide has this great before and after, like before. Many people think social media is bad. It makes people feel sad. They compare themselves a lot. A bit choppy, right?
Yeah, very basic.
And the after. Social media can negatively impact mental health by encouraging constant comparison, which often leads to feelings of inadequacy and anxiety. See the difference? It's clearer, flows better, sounds more analytical. The insight for C1 writing is that it's about clarity of thought and impact, not just avoiding grammar mistakes.
That's a huge difference. Okay, this feels like we're nearing the summit now. Beyond the mechanics, the document talks about what many feel is the real peak cultural fluency. How does it approach that fun, but sometimes tricky world of idioms and cultural stuff?
Yeah, this is where you really start sounding integrated, like you get the culture, not just the language. It's about understanding those subtle nuances, idioms, jokes, sarcasm, common sayings, proverbs. These are tough if you haven't lived in the culture because the meaning often isn't literal at all.
Definitely.
The document gives good examples like bite the bullet, meaning, face something unpleasant but necessary. Like, I really didn't want to make that phone call, but I just had to bite the bullet.
Right.
Or the ball is in your court, meaning it's now your responsibility to act or make the next move. The real insight here isn't just learning lists of idioms, it's developing cultural literacy, that's social awareness. Knowing when and how to use these things appropriately adds that final layer of authenticity.
Absolutely. Okay, we've covered so much ground, gathered all these tools for the climb, but how do we actually put this into practice consistently?
Yeah.
The document wraps up with a daily C1 English routine, like a workout plan for your English.
Exactly. And it's designed to be manageable. It suggests specific daily chunks, maybe 15 minutes reading news aloud, like from the BBC or The Guardian, working on pronunciation as well as understanding. 10 minutes on your vocabulary notebook, maybe using an app like Quizlet or Notion for that space repetition. 20 minutes shadowing podcasts, Spotify, Audible, whatever, really focusing on that mouth muscle connection.
Okay.
Then 15 minutes writing something like a journal entry and using a tool like Grammarly or maybe the Hemingway app to help you edit it. And crucially, 15 minutes actually speaking English, maybe finding a partner on HelloTalk or Tandem.
Okay, so 15 minutes here, 10 there.
Yeah.
It adds up, but it feels doable. It's about those small, consistent steps, isn't it? Other sources seem to back this up. Set realistic goals, have a plan, track how you're doing, and always focus on active listening. And talk about stuff you actually care about. That genuine interest makes such a difference. And, importantly, don't be terrified of making mistakes. They're how you learn.
Absolutely. Consistency is everything. And finding content that genuinely hooks you, mixing up your material so you don't get bored, and taking time to reflect on your progress that keeps you motivated, keeps the learning dynamic. That structured yet flexible self-aware approach is what pushes you from C1 towards real mastery.
So we've kind of reached the end of this deep dive for today. And I think maybe the biggest takeaway is that hitting C1 isn't the end point at all. It's more like you climbed one big mountain and suddenly you see this whole incredible mountain range stretching out ahead of you.
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
Exactly. The journey from here on out is all about constant refinement, isn't it? Pushing yourself just that little bit further, noticing those tiny details, those nuances that make such a huge difference. It means actively seeking out high-quality English, challenging yourself when you speak or write, and really observing how native speakers use the language, not just memorizing rules. It's in those subtle gaps, those nuances, that you find the path to really mastering it.
And the document ends with a quote that really stuck with me. Fluency isn't about speaking faster. It's about speaking better.
Oh, that's so true. It just shifts the focus entirely, doesn't it? From speed, from quantity to quality, to being deliberate. It encourages that active, intentional growth.
So for everyone listening, as you carry on with your own English journey from C1, maybe think about this. How can you intentionally design your daily practice? How can you weave in maybe just one new habit from today to consciously move from speaking better towards becoming truly exceptional? How will you make this next stage of the journey uniquely yours instead of just sort of waiting for fluency to arrive?
Yeah, what qualities, what deeper understanding, what specific practices will you cultivate to build those really meaningful connections and just thrive in this amazing dynamic language?
That's our deep dive for today. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.